we both really responded to Alex Convery's script the first time we read it and just thought it was such an interesting story. Having lived through it and experienced it as a kind of a teenager when Michael Jordan came onto the scene and really kind of changed the world as we knew it in terms of, the NBA and the culture and just suddenly there was this whole shoe culture that appeared and we didn't really know the backstory, and there were so many things in there that I thought were interesting and that surprised me when I read the script, and I think will surprise people when they see the movie, like where Nike was versus where they are today. And I just always found it was one of those scripts that anytime I picked it up, I would just sit for an hour and a half and read the whole thing. So that's always a good sign when you have a piece of material like that. And then we decided pretty quickly that it was something we wanted to do, and it would be a good a movie to do together. We'd never worked together as a director and actor, and it was clear pretty quickly that this should be the one to do it on. I didn't know much about Sonny. I mean, there was a pretty good documentary about him, and through researching to play him and talking to him, I think what we really wanted to try to capture was the spirit of those guys then, and that culture that at Nike, and what they were trying to do, and they all look back really fondly at this time in their lives. And when you're a kind of an outsider and a revolutionary a little bit and a renegade, and what they did turned out to be so consequential and kind of incredible. Hearing that from his wife that it looked like we raided his closet, to to talking to him about, obviously we're taking liberties, right? This is dialogue we're writing a lot of the time, so it's not exactly what somebody said, but the spirit of what was happening and what the dynamics were, and that's really what we wanted to get right, and that was really what we were tasked with doing. So the arguments with David Falk, like the agent, like Sonny was there that day, they didn't exactly happen like that, but the idea that when one person gets quieter, the other person gets louder is something that I think we can all relate to, and the dynamic in their relationship I think is really fun, and something he definitely responded to as he was watching it. I don't think it's possible to kind of overstate what it means to American culture. I mean, that's one of the things the movie tries to do, is show you what things looked like before Michael Jordan came along, because it's just completely changed everything. It's changed the way we think about brands in general. Like right now, it's everybody's on Instagram thinking that this is my brand. It's like very, it's common for people to think of things that way, and it wasn't the case at all back then. And so it really was revolutionary what they did, and it required somebody who was, a once in a number of generations, I would say, kind of iconic talent. You couldn't overstate the impact that Michael had on our culture, how everybody wanted to be him. When you went to the park, like everybody was Jordan. Everybody wanted to be that guy. They created a market, and he created a market because of his unique kind of greatness and genius, because it became aspirational. It became, everybody just wished they were him. So what we decided to do was tell the story of everybody around him, and particularly because when Ben spoke to Michael about it, what Ben came away from that conversation with, among other things, but above all, was the impact that Michael felt his mother had on him and on the deal and on this moment in his life, and how important she was. And so that really became the thrust of the movie for us. This experience has really been the most joyful of my career. And I think it's just uh, because we're older now, and I think we probably have a lot of more perspective and a little more wisdom, hopefully. I think, we've lost people in our lives at this point. Like we know that we're not young and going like, this is going to go on forever. We're I think feeling really grateful to go to work every day, and to love what we do this much, to love each other that much, and to get to go work together, I mean, it's just an absolute dream. One thing about having a best friend for 40 something years is that you really have a common frame of reference, and you have taste that is in line with one another. And so you don't, if ever we disagree about something creatively, you know, one or the other of us is totally willing to try the other's idea because, you know, if you feel that strongly about it, I'm probably wrong. You know, and there's just that level of trust at this point, and it just makes work really, really fun. To have Viola Davis, first of all, I mean, you know, Michael, one of the other things that Michael said to Ben when they met was that he wanted Viola Davis to play his mom. And that's like saying, you know, I'm starting a basketball team and I have to have Michael Jordan. You know, she's an American treasure. Like we got to write a part now. And we made a deal on that phone call, Ben and I, that we don't do the movie unless Viola does the movie. And so that's when we just rolled up our sleeves and went, okay, let's write the best role that we can, and then show it to her, and then invite her in. She's an American treasure because she's just brilliant. Like these moments of brilliance just kind of drip off of her, and so we were very lucky to have Viola and to have Chris Tucker, who came in and really built that part. Knows Howard, is a friend of Howard's, and so spent time and like really came with this full idea, you know, all of the full character, but all of these different ideas. And we shot so much stuff where Chris just would riff and would just be, and I would just throw questions at him and he would just be Howard. And so we really benefited from actors who are filmmakers. You know, Chris Tucker is a writer because he's a stand-up. He's used to generating material. Viola and Julius are A-list producers on top of being great actors. So it's like you're inviting other filmmakers in to come and not just stay in a narrow lane as an actor, but to help you write and to help you build. And that's what we had, and that's why I think the movie works as well as it does. I really like the writing and the acting. I really do. I feel like everybody, I mean, leaving myself out of it, just the performances are great. And, you know, Jason is great. Ben is great. Viola, obviously, I mean, is great. And Chris and Matt Maher and Chris Messina, like everybody shows up and really brings something wonderful. And so I feel like it's a story people are interested in, and it's the kind of movie Ben and I grew up loving, right? It's you know, it's not a ton of explosions. It's not, but it's just really good writing and really good acting and a story that you care about and people that you end up caring about, and that's a reason to go to the movies.